Hi, before I crack on with this video, I just wanted to announce that I've set up a Happy Gilder Facebook group. So I'm new to Facebook, so it might be a slow thing to get started, and I'd appreciate any sort of tips and tricks of getting it off the ground. But I set it up just because I try my best to respond to all of the comments and questions I get on YouTube, but I just thought it'd be much better if there was somewhere where everyone could kind of share advice, share pictures of their work, and be a better way to actually get to know some people rather than just kind of responding in comment. So it'd be really good to see you over there, but now let's crack on with the vid. Hi, I'm Paul, the Happy Gilder. Welcome to my channel. In this video, I'm going to be trying to create a kind of relief effect within a mirror. Now, the reason I'm doing this, one of my Instagram followers contacted me and they sent a picture, and it was like this sort of coin with all of these tarnished areas, and it was gilded and it was sort of carved into the back of the glass. So they'd asked me how to go about doing it. My response was that I don't know, but I'll find out. So this is that journey. Hopefully by the end of this, I'll have a mirror with a kind of embossed coin in the back of it, and it'll have all sort of tarnished effects, and I'll apply gold leaf. So only time will tell. But before I crack on and get started, if you're interested in seeing any of my previous work that I've made over the years, I've put a link to my Instagram in the description. There's also a link to my Etsy shop where I'm selling some of my designs. And also, if you do follow the videos and you've got an Instagram and you make anything, I'd love it if you shared it with me, whether that's via a message or if you just at Happy Gilder, hashtag Happy Gilder. Either way, it'd be brilliant to see it. So anyway, gonna crack on. Excuse me if I look a bit sweaty. I'm doing this on the hottest day of the year so far, but that's all good. So what I've done is I've prepared a mirror, and the only thing I've done differently in comparison to my normal process is that I'm using Sandblasting Vinyl on this. So it's just a thicker vinyl that will withstand the blasting, much more so than the vinyl used for making shop signs. So what I'm going to be doing is blasting this in sort of segments. So what I've removed so far are just the kind of circular bits from the border and the circular bits from within the letters. I'll just keep an eye on this, and when I have a look at the other side and I think they look quite sort of raised, I'll then peel some of the other bits off and start blasting again. And then hopefully by the end, this will be a kind of relief pattern of this logo. So I'm going to get started with the first stage of the blasting. Right, so I've been sandblasting for a little while, and I've paid much more attention to it than I normally would, and gone over it, and just keep checking the underside of it to make sure I'm happy with the depth, and that's what I've got at the moment. That probably doesn't show through so well on here. But what I'm going to do now is take out the next sections that I'm going to blast, and that will continually blast the bits that I've already done. So the areas I've just blasted should be a kind of soft relief on the final piece. So just get them removed and carry on blasting. Okay, right, so here's where we're at so far. Not sure how visible that is, but looks pretty good, and that's the bit that I knew would work. So now we're into wing and a prayer territory, and I'm going to try and make this look kind of almost distressed. And the way I'm going to do that is using a technique that I used to use for kind of model kit painting, and it was called inking, where what you would do for detailed bits with cracks, you would dip your brush in ink and then keep dipping it in water so it's really sort of diluted, and paint it over the surface of the model, and the ink would run into all of the gaps, and then when it dried it would just be really subtle and make those gapped areas darker. I'm not going to use ink, I'm going to use enamel, and I'm going to use paint thinner. So this might work, it might not. It's not a problem if it doesn't. If it doesn't work, I'll just strip it off and then try a different technique. But I'm thinking, you know, so much paint thinner, And just like this, my unconventional paint tin opener. And then something like that, which is not a lot of paint in comparison. Well, I'm going to go a bit more just in case. That looks like hardly any paint. Right, there we go. So put the lid back on that. Give this a stir, and what I want is a kind of watery, very fine black liquid that when I paint across this will run into the gaps, but when it dries it's not going to be opaque, you know, it's going to be see-through. And then hopefully it works by running into all those gaps and making it kind of look a little bit tarnished and stuff like that, but we'll see. Right, let's have a look. So stick that in there. I'm going to give it a little test on this bit of wood. Yeah, that looks pretty inky to me. Right, let's go then. And I'm not fussed about doing this evenly. Like I said, I'm looking for a kind of quite rustic tarnished effect anyway, so you know, it might be smart if some areas are darker than others. Right, just going to go with that and pop my brush in here, that'll be fine. Right, so this is how it came out, and I'm pretty chuffed with that. I think it looks pretty rustic. Now, that was actually the second attempt. The first time I did it, when it dried, there was a bit too much sort of liquid on there, so when it sort of dried and you could see that it was paint, so while it was still sticky, I just rubbed white spirit on it and took all of it off, and then just applied the same solution. I didn't put any more paint in or any more thinner, but I just made sure that I sort of spread it quite thinly and then evenly, and this is how that's dried. So it's got some sort of spots which could look like rust spots or anything like that, but it certainly looks like a tarnished coin, which is the effect I was going for. So what I'm going to do now is apply the gold leaf. Now, I'll do that as a time lapse because I've done quite a few gilding tutorials, so I'll put a link to those up here and I'll put a link in the description. So, on with the gilding. And here's the finished piece. So overall, I'm really happy with it. It's kind of experimental. I did know that the kind of deep blasting would work to a point, but I certainly didn't know that any of the inking would work. I think the gold works really well with it. And all in all, it's certainly something I'm going to experiment more with. So stay tuned and see how I apply that to something in the future. But I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please subscribe to the channel and click the little thumbs up icon. And please share it with anyone else who you think might enjoy it. So till next time, cheers.